Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany Arce. I am your District Eduphoria Aware Specialist, and I am here with some important end-of-year checklist items for Eduphoria Aware. I'm going to walk you through the items and explain the importance of each one first, and then if you actually need a step-by-step guide with how to complete these tasks, stick around because at the end of going over the items, I will actually log into Aware and walk you through how to do each item. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to make sure that you archive all teacher test, team test, and campus test. Before you actually click the archive button, please make sure that you have used the appropriate naming convention, which includes putting your campus name in the title of the assessment. It's okay if your kids have already taken the assessment for this year. You can just change the name and then click the archive button, and that will make sure that all of the assessment data associated with those assessments is actually tied to the 2018-19 school year. If you don't archive your assessments, there's a chance that if you use that exact same assessment again next year and you have not archived it, it will actually combine this year's data with next year's data, and we want to avoid that happening. It is okay to archive because the test will still be available for you to utilize it next year. When you go to create a new assessment, you'll just click copy an existing assessment. So it'll be okay if you archive, you'll still have access to be able to use that assessment again. Now there is an exception to using assessments again, and that is because we're actually changing item banks for next year. So all of our STAR test maker items will no longer be available after this school year. So you may want to actually download a PDF version of any assessments that you've made with STAR test maker in order to have that for reference. You can go ahead and archive, but the chances are the actual items will not still be inside of those assessments. So there may be a little bit of creation that happens next year with some new assessments, but we're super excited because our new item banks, you're really going to like them, and they're going to be embedded into the new curriculum as well with the curriculum redesign. So great things are going to happen with that minor tweak, but I want you to be aware if you have created tests with the old item bank, there is a chance those items will not still be in your assessments next year. If you have questions, you can reach out and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail. The next thing that you need to make sure that you do is please go in and delete any monitor list or monitor groups that you created this year. We like to start fresh with those for a new school year because there is a chance that you won't still need access to the same kids that you needed access to this year for a list or group. So go ahead and delete those. Again, if you need help doing that, stick around. I'll show you how to do it after I walk through these steps. Then you're going to want to make sure that you archive any forms that will not need to be updated during summer school or SSI. So any forms that you have attached under a student's profile, once you're finished updating that form, you're going to go ahead and click the archive button, and that will not allow any additional changes to be made. If you have a student that is going to summer school or attending for SSI purposes, you probably don't want to archive those forms because their summer school teacher may need access to that information. Finally, this last item is going to be really important for those of you that are classroom teachers and do not have campus admin access and Aware. Once the new school year starts, you do not have historical data on the kids you're currently teaching. So one of the things that means is you can't necessarily look back and reflect on how students did on benchmarks, STAR assessments, local assessments, etc. We've put in for this request several times, and we're working on a way to hopefully resolve that for you so that you can look back and see how students have performed in order to reflect on your own instructional practices. But in the meantime, until we have a workaround, any data that you may want to be able to analyze next year, maybe you're getting ready to teach a new unit, you want to look back and reflect on how students responded to certain lessons and activities and reflect on your own practices. If you need that data in order to do that, you're going to want to export and save any current student data. So before I go into Aware and walk you through those important steps, I want to make sure you know who to contact if you have any questions about the end-of-year checklist for Eduphoria Aware. You can contact myself, Tiffany Arce. My email address is tarce@neisd.net, and my phone number is 210-407-0067, or you can contact Brandy Merriman at bmary@neisd.net, 210-407-0049. Either one of us are happy to help you get anything taken care of that you need to close out the end of the year. So those of you that would actually like to see me walk through the steps for the end of year checklist, we're actually going to do that now. We'll be going through these 4 items, making sure that you know what to do in order to close out the school year. If you already know how to do these items, then have a wonderful summer vacation, and we'll see you at the start of the year. For those of you that want to make sure you know what to do once you are trying to close out the year, I'm actually in our demo site, so if it looks a little different, that's why, but most of it looks pretty much the same. I'm going to start here on the Assessments tab, and I'm going to show you how to change the name of assessments that are not named correctly and then archive. So if you are utilizing the classic view, then when you drill down to your assessment, your view will look like this. This is what we're now calling the old assessment interface. If you need to change the name, then here where it says test name, you will actually put your campus name. And then we usually like for you to put a grade level, maybe a topic, and any other helpful information like the date that you gave it or anything else. And then you can click the archived button, and that will send it into the archived files. Now, for those of you that are accustomed to using the new assessment interface, which is beta, if you need to change the name of your assessment, normally you should be able to do that here where it says general information. However, this is not currently working correctly. If you notice, I'm trying to change the name and it's not allowing me to do that. So they are currently working on a fix for that. See how it looks like I've broken it for the time being. But don't think you're crazy. Actually just switch back over to Classic, change the name there, and then if you prefer to work on the beta side of things, you can switch back over to beta. And here under status is where you can click archived, and it will send this assessment into the archived folder. Okay, when you are working on the beta side of things, everything normally saves on its own. I have made it angry right now because I tried to change the name of my assessment. But once you change the name of your assessment, if that's something you need to do, under Classic, and then switch back over if you want to beta, you can go ahead and confirm that it is indeed archived there. When I go back to my teacher test, let me get out of assessments. Okay, you will actually have an archived link once you have archived your assessments if you want to verify that it is indeed archived away. Okay, so that's all you have to do for assessments. Please make sure that your campus name is in the title and you switch it over to archive. Hopefully when y'all come back for the new school year, everything will be up and running with bells and whistles on the beta side of our assessment interface. The next thing that you're going to want to make sure that you do is delete any monitor lists that you've created. This most often applies to our special education teachers or teachers who tutor students that are not on your normal roster. So you can do that by going to the Student tab and then click Manage My Monitor List. Click on the name of the monitor list that you want to get rid of, and then simply click the Delete button. Confirm that you want to continue. and continue through that, getting rid of any monitor list that you may have created. You also, on the Student tab, this is where you will archive your forms. So I'm going to type in all my students just to bring up the kids. I'm going to click on a student's name. I'm going to go to the Forms tab. This student does have a form attached to them, so I'm going to click View, and I'm just going to click the Archive button. Only do this once you have made any updates. If you need to add any notes or anything to the form, only click the Archive button once you're really done with that form for the school year. So when you click Archive, are you sure you want to deactivate this form? And you can say OK. And then notice how it is grayed out now. That will allow me to view it, but I cannot make any changes to it. Okay? And then finally, the last thing that you want to do, if this is something that applies to you, is you may want to export some learning standard data most specifically in order to help you reflect on instructional practices when you're in the school year next year. So I'm going to go ahead and drill down to a STAR test to show you what I mean. Okay, if student scores are something that are helpful to you, it's probably most helpful if you do it by teacher or campus summary, because you may be trying to monitor the percentage of kids that you had at Approaches, Meets, and Masters. Then you will want to export this to Excel or PDF. But the one that you can probably have the biggest need for is the Student Learning Standard Breakdown or the Reporting Category Breakdown. Either one of these are going to be super helpful when you're trying to plan for instruction next year and want to reflect on how your students responded to previously used activities or resources. So if I click on Learning Standard Breakdown, you'll see here's the student list and their performance by individual students and SEs. But again, this one's probably most helpful if you consider it by teacher summary or by campus summary, because this is meant to support your instructional decisions and not necessarily individual students at this point, because this is going to be historical information for you. The other report that could be helpful are student individual responses. If you are considering, as you think about assessments that kids will take next year, or maybe the STAR assessments, if I click Campus Summary for this, I can see the most commonly missed items when it works correctly. You all remember I'm in the demo site. What you should see here is the percentage of kids that chose different items and maybe which one caused the most confusion or where the misconceptions were for students' answers. I'm in the demo site, so I'm getting some blank information on this report right now, but normally you have percentages here and you can see what percentage of students chose certain answer choices. Okay, so that really wraps it up for our end of year checklist. Again, if you need support, you are welcome to reach out to myself or Brandy, and we will be happy to help you. Have a wonderful summer vacation, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you.